Sometimes, when Liam gazed upon his beloved Ava, a melancholy would settle upon him. Mind you, it wasn't because she was a deplorable lass, quite the opposite really. Their kinfolk incessantly jested about when they would celebrate their nuptials, while friends, consumed by envy, marveled at his fortuitousness. Their ages were practically aligned, with Ava being a mere 23 years old, and Liam a mere 3 years her senior. Freshly graduated from university, Ava had already landed a promising accounting position in a grand firm. She had her future meticulously mapped out, envisioning motherhood by the tender age of 28, as well as culinary marvels for every New Year's feast. Raised in a household solely presided over by women comprising her mother, 2 grandmothers, and an aunt, Ava yearned for a man's companionship. When Liam first visited their abode, they candidly beseeched him, uttering these words. They say we've been jinxed with ill-fated relationships. Thus, you are our sole glimmer of hope. Liam didn't mind initially. After all, Ava was exemplary. Intelligent but humble, independent yet modest, beautiful without vanity or extravagant salon expenditures. Ava cooked delectable meals, valued cleanliness and order, and abstained from nocturnal revelries. In Liam's eyes, she perfectly embodied the ideal wife. Everything seemed splendid until one day, he suddenly grew bored. While sitting at the table, it dawned on him that Ava had not salted the vegetable stew to his liking. Reaching for the salt shaker, he had an epiphany. A loved one cannot be transformed for the better as easily as a dish can be seasoned and spiced. In other words, he couldn't simply make Ava more captivating, vibrant, or enigmatic according to his personal tastes. Liam had an epiphany. He didn't just know her well, but perhaps a bit too well. He could foresee her reactions to various situations, decipher if she'd laugh at a specific joke, and anticipate what she deemed praiseworthy or dismiss as nonsensical and reckless. This sudden clarity hit him harder than he expected, making the prospect of tying the knot and sharing a future with her seem overwhelmingly daunting. The very notion sent shivers down his spine. "Everything all right?" Ava inquired, evidently picking up on his unwavering stare. "Yeah, all good," Liam answered, diverting his gaze back to her signature vegetable stew. "Just a hectic day at the office, lots on my mind." It was partially true. The advertising company where Liam toiled away was experiencing a major reorganization due to a change in ownership. Anxiety gripped everyone as they pondered who would advance and who would face dismissal. But Liam had no concerns for his own fate. He viewed himself as a valuable, skilled, and dare I say, indispensable expert. One fine weekend, while assisting his father in tidying up their cellar, where his stubborn parents insisted on storing their assortment of vegetables, Liam made his way home. And lo and behold, he spied a car parked by the roadside. A bleak scene unfolded as snowflakes drifted down, the wind howled, and the piercing frost seemingly crystallized his every breath. In general, naturally there were other drivers on the road at this late hour, but Liam couldn't help but feel concerned for the safety of a young girl standing alone on the road, particularly as it was located outside the city. He decided to decrease his speed. "Are you in trouble?" he queried. The stranger, appearing to be no older than 18, looked down, and Liam was taken aback by her stunning appearance. Rosy cheeks and nose, a glistening white coat, truly resembling a snow maiden. The stranger seemed wary. "I've already called for a tow truck and a taxi," she replied, taking a step back. "Oh, don't be afraid, I'm really not a bad person," Liam assured her with a smile. "It's just that you're stuck out here, and I thought—" "Thank you, I'll wait in the car," she interrupted. "Does your heater work in there?" The snow-covered beauty furrowed her brow and shook her head. You're trembling from the cold already." Liam gestured towards his car. "Let's go to my place." "Do I appear foolish, entering a stranger's vehicle?" "All right then, let's proceed in this manner." He presented her with the car keys. "Hop in, wind up the windows, and lock the doors. That way, I won't be able to enter and harm you, should I have that intention." He grinned. The girl scowled and stormed off. It felt like an endless wait for Liam, and when he finally bid his skeptical snow maiden farewell, his teeth were already chattering, and his hands were devoid of sensation, with his fingers barely able to flex. "Thank you." She bid her adieu while settled in her car, now permeated with the scent of a delightful floral perfume. A stranger. Liam mused about the odd fact that he'd never caught her name. Not that she'd likely reveal it with her current temperament, which was a real shame. He then chided himself. What did he care about snagging the digits of a stunning woman when he had a fiancé? Still, the idea of never encountering this captivating lady in her pristine white coat again left a sour taste. About a week later, following that unusual event on Liam's route, his buddy Oliver spilled some juicy gossip. New management has rolled in. Not the big boss himself, but his daughter is jumping into the fray. Word is she hasn't even wrapped up her studies, but dear old dad wants her to dive headfirst into the biz already. Millionaires, you know, live according to their own set of rules. Yeah, Liam replied, shaking his head. He had witnessed situations in the past where an acquaintance joined the company, and it usually didn't end well. It always resulted in Liam having to pick up the pieces and correct the mistakes. Generally, it was a mess. "Hey, you two need a personal invitation or something." William, the senior manager, interjected as he passed by. "Come on, these bars don't cater to villains," he whispered in a light-hearted manner. Indeed, the majority of the employees had gathered in the hall, the usual venue for important meetings. As Liam entered, he found himself frozen on the threshold. Right in front of him stood the Snow Maiden herself, clad in white once again, but this time in an elegant pantsuit rather than a fur coat. He discovered the true beauty of her golden red hair and her flawless figure. And to top it off, her name was something truly enchanting, Charlotte. The person now tasked with leading the project was at the helm today. The collective group eagerly discussed the lofty accomplishments that loomed on their horizon. While she held the floor, speaking, everyone gave her their ears. Liam, patching in the midst of this, felt an odd sensation, initially thinking something was amiss with his heart. Yet he soon recognized that this was distinctly different. This stirring feeling was reminiscent of a distant memory, the time he had fallen head over heels for the school's proclaimed beauty queen, a girl who outshined everyone in her elegance but scarcely noticed him. She only offered him a dance at their final school dance, a moment that gradually faded from his memory as he entered into a stable relationship with Ava. However, this current wave of emotion, unlike anything he had with Ava, both alarmed and intriguingly filled him with a peculiar sense of hope. Seizing an opportune moment, Liam made his way over to Charlotte and greeted her. "Well, look who it is." She beamed radiantly. "Haven't caught a cold, have you?" he inquired, slightly embarrassed. Normally, he wasn't the type to be disconcerted around women, but she was an exception. "Oh, you rescued me just in the nick of time. Surely we can skip the formalities, right?" she said, lowering her gaze coquettishly, and Liam felt he'd do anything to see her flash that grin more often, especially if it was for him. Their conversation was brief. It wasn't long, yet he felt as if he had known her for eons. It appeared her father had indeed decided to let her helm the family business, but not by herself. A cadre of experts, almost all alumni of Harvard, were assigned to aid Charlotte. Her father intended for her not only to observe, but to actively engage and understand the intricacies of managing a business firsthand. Then Charlotte became sidetracked, swept away by other matters concerning the company's affairs. Meanwhile, Liam lingered nearby, and before long, he lost his composure. Just as she was about to slip into her car, he blurted out, "Shouldn't we grab a coffee?" He figured she would likely decline with a frosty smile of mere civility at best, or, at worst, burst into laughter. "Hava, everything all right?" "You look a bit on edge," she remarked. "Oh no," Liam replied, "just some new project in the works." They had made plans to rendezvous with Charlotte the following day, and now he found himself questioning whether that was a mistake. On the flip side, Liam mused, Ava hangs out with her pals, including male friends, and he never throws a fit or feels jealous. So he reasoned his own actions weren't too blameworthy. During their conference, Charlotte and he ventured beyond mere work discussions, delighting in a myriad of minor details. Surprisingly, Charlotte was far from the frivolous social butterfly Liam had initially pegged her as. Instead, she was rather learned and perceptive. Curious about her past stay in Paris, Liam prompted, "Could you share something in French?" With a playful grin, Charlotte delivered a phrase melodious as a nightingale's tune. "And what does that signify?" he inquired. "Oh, it's nothing, merely silly stuff," she chuckled. "Just romantic fluff, really." Afterward, Liam realized their coffee outings were not without intent on her part. She was definitely signaling something, and he, playing his part as a genuine gentleman, was supposed to pick up on these cues. Emboldened, he suggested they meet up once more. Charlotte paused momentarily, mentioning she needed to confirm her commitments by checking her agenda. As she scrolled through her phone extensively, Liam started to feel a trace of irritation. What was she looking through? An endless list of appointments. Eventually, she looked up and confirmed that they could meet the following week to visit the botanical garden, which recently welcomed a collection of rare cacti from Central America. They're displayed in the greenhouse. "I'll be back in the office by Wednesday," she informed, lifting Liam's spirits since Wednesday was just around the corner. Upon her return to the office, Charlotte introduced the staff to some fresh strategic directions intended to enhance the company's market presence. She outlined several updates and discussed various other topics extensively. Suddenly, in a turn that caught everyone off guard and was a bit tough to hear, she criticized a few team members for their subpar productivity. Clearly, she implied some changes were imperative. Liam's name cropped up among the unfortunate ones, leaving him utterly stunned. Though taken aback, he didn't let out a peep. When they eventually met up and took a stroll, he kept mum but reached a breaking point and broached the topic. "Does it bother you?" Charlotte queried. "I'm sorry, I'm just calling it as I see it. I think recognizing your shortcomings is the only real way to steer you in the right direction. Frankly, I believe you have great potential." She offered her insights on ways Liam could improve and mentioned that they could even brainstorm on his promotion, contingent on the upcoming critical project's success. Naturally, work wasn't their sole subject of conversation. Charlotte divulged bits about herself, and Liam lent an eager ear. Yet he frequently found himself pricked by the notion of her extravagant way of living. Luxurious yachts, sun-kissed islands, globe-trotting adventures, and all things lavish. She had already carved out a prosperous career, aided by her father's influence, and envisioned a future brimming with promise. Liam pondered his potential role in her life. As things stood, he hadn't quite arrived at a clear understanding. But one thing was evident. He was undeniably captivated by this stunning woman. So why not take a chance? What was keeping him tethered to Ava when such an alluring prospect was within reach? a millionaire's daughter, breathtakingly beautiful, and someone who might propel his career forward. Meanwhile, Liam kept his lips sealed around Ava. He shared tales of his family and friends, avoiding any mention of his fiancée. After all, why stir the pot? He genuinely believed that even the slightest nod to her would only complicate matters further. Ava, for the record, had been increasingly troublesome lately. As soon as Liam laid eyes on her, he couldn't help but notice the unkempt and awkward aura she emitted, shambling around, noisily munching her meals, and seemingly indifferent to the overstretched sleeves of the old knit sweater she fancied wearing at home. She didn't bother with her hair either, merely throwing it up into a ponytail or sloppily bundling it together. Ava and Charlotte stood in stark contrast to each other. "Why are you always putting me down?" Ava had sobbed once after he criticized her for making dry, unpalatable cutlets and for her disheveled appearance that made her look like a scarecrow. "I'm sorry," Liam murmured before he walked out, using the excuse of visiting his parents, but in reality, he was just eager to avoid seeing her tears. Liam and Charlotte's relationship persisted, with occasional meetings in her office where they discussed work and exchanged a few personal words. On certain occasions, they ventured outside together. However, Liam began to have reservations as Charlotte's behavior grew increasingly peculiar. Notably, she never exhibited any hint of their connection, surpassing that of boss and subordinate within the office. Once, Liam extended an invitation to his close friend's country house, but on another occasion, when he proposed they enjoy a stroll along the riverbank and perhaps go away skating with friends, Charlotte declined, citing her inability to join. Then, unexpectedly, she mentioned attending a wedding for a dear friend. Liam, mustering courage, directly inquired, "May I accompany you?" Charlotte became apprehensive. She denied the fact simply because the invitation allowed her to bring a single guest, her cousin. Liam began to grow suspicious. It suddenly crossed his mind that they might be concealing their romantic involvement. Eventually, unable to suppress his curiosity any longer, Liam confronted her directly. "Are we in a relationship?" he asked, puzzled. Charlotte interrupted him in surprise. "What do you mean?" "We don't have one." Confused, Liam probed further. "What do you mean?" "We've been to cafes together. We've gone for walks together." Charlotte responded with an enchanting smile, reminiscent of a glamorous Hollywood star on the red carpet. "Well, yes, we're simply spending time together." Liam's furrowed brow revealed his bewilderment as he caught hold of Charlotte's hand, asking, "Just that?" "I must be missing something here." They found themselves in a cafe, the very same cafe where they had first sat down and shared their thoughts on everything under the sun, like kindred spirits, or so it had struck him back then. "Is this just a game to you?" "That's quite fascinating. Are you trying to keep me from everyone? You don't want them to see you with a regular guy, knowing that you're a millionaire's daughter." Charlotte gazed at him, her expression one of disbelief for a few moments before bursting into a hearty laugh. "You and me together? Seriously, you must be losing it." As her amusement faded, her demeanor shifted to something more serious, a look that could easily deter even the most cunning of creatures. "All right, let's clear the air. You lent me a hand on that road to nowhere, and I appreciate it. Then you suggested we grab a coffee, and I agreed. So what's the fuss about? What year are we even in, darling? We had a pleasant time, sure, but in a relationship. Come on, if that's what I had been after, you would have caught on ages ago. No, we're not a couple. We never were, and we never will be. And just so you know, I really need to be going." Hold on, Liam felt as though he had been hurled into the air, only to be dropped and scrambled in sheer bewilderment. "But why not? I'm really fond of you." "I think I messed up." Charlotte exhaled heavily. "You're not a terrible person, and you perform well in your role. When I mentioned your promotion, I was hinting that you truly earned it, provided you made some adjustments. Now, what about you? Did you really think I was going to promote you just because I have the power to, and because I fancy you? Isn't that nonsense?" Charlotte reached for her glass of water, taking delicate gulps. "You're a decent man, but no, nothing romantic can occur between us. Nothing substantial." "But why?" "I don't want to cause you pain or upset," Charlotte stated, gazing directly into his eyes. "But for a fling, let alone marriage, we're just too different. We come from distinct realms, and my circle wouldn't grasp such a choice. Such a partnership would invite endless complications. Besides, I already have a partner, actually even a fiancé." "Fiancé?" Liam blurted out, suddenly aware that the question had never crossed his lips before. He had simply accepted it as a given fact that their paths had crossed, leading them to a natural and unavoidable closeness. He had fooled himself persistently, clinging onto his own self-made illusions. "So this is the deal?" "Yes, exactly that," replied Charlotte with an uneasy grin. "I believe we shouldn't meet outside work anymore." "Got it," Liam said, rising from his seat and slamming some cash on the table. He might not measure up to a millionaire's offspring, but at least he could settle the coffee bill. Fuming with frustration, he stormed home, feeling utterly deceived. That girl, the so-called princess, had just been stringing him along. He should have seen the signs from the get-go. But what now? To express remorse to Ava for my actions and tomorrow, extend an apology with a gesture of a bouquet comprising 100 roses and a heartfelt proposal. Ava, my Ava, possesses qualities of kindness, intelligence, purity, and loyalty. The caliber of person who wouldn't ever betray or engage in deceitful games. What a fool I have been, not fully recognizing her worth all this while. Frustrated, Liam cast a glance towards the cabinet in the hallway, his face etched with a frown. There lay a note of sorts awaiting his attention. He unfolded the sheet, revealing Ava's words. She had witnessed his acquaintance with a red-haired girl at a cafe, leading her to comprehend the truth of the matter. His outbursts of anger, constant criticisms, and hurtful behavior were all rooted in his encounter with someone new. Ava conveyed that she had packed her belongings and sought refuge with her parents, proclaiming the end of their relationship. Liam crumbled, completely bewildered by the turmoil gradually engulfing his life. It all unraveled before him, and yet he couldn't shake the undeniable realization that he himself had caused this catastrophic downfall. And above all, it's utterly unclear how to restore everything at this point. Was it even possible to begin with, in any case? Besides the piece of paper, there was one object that belonged to Ava on the nightstand in the hallway. A silver owl keychain, a cheap trinket he had given her along with a set of apartment keys. Liam picked it up, spun it around in his fingers, and pondered the fact that he may never understand why the keys to his apartment. Thanks for tuning in, folks. I'd really appreciate a thumbs up on the video. Take care, everyone. See you soon.